This is KGW News at noon.
I am not concerned about the people that are going to be in these safe rest villages. I am concerned about what is going to go on outside of the boundary.
We begin this afternoon in the Montevilla section of Southeast Portland, where residents are reacting to Multnomah County's proposal to open a sanctioned homeless village in their neighborhood. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Drew Carney. The county started planning for this village 2 years ago and is ready to take the next steps. But at a community meeting last night, people who already live in that neighborhood spoke out about the proposal. KGW's Catherine Cook was there.
Wednesday night in Southeast Portland's Montevilla neighborhood.
Tonight's really about listening to concerns you have.
Neighbors sounded off over the county's idea of putting a community village near their homes.
I take the issue of people being trapped in houses next to something that's going to destroy their property values.
The proposed Montevilla Community Village will sit at Southeast Oak and 82nd Avenue. That's where an old RV dealership used to be. The county owns the property now. The village would have space for 40 people with 29 sleeping pods. It would have space for parking, trash services, showers, restrooms, laundry, and a communal kitchenette. Community feedback ran the gamut.
I'm in favor of resources for our neighbors, and I'm excited to meet more of my neighbors, both housed and unhoused, and I intend to be present at that village community site. I am not concerned about the people that are going to be in these safe rest villages. I am concerned about what is going to go on outside of the boundary. We have numerous, thank you.
Neighbor John Leslie shares that concern.
We've got notice that it was going to happen, and then outside of that, it was just you're along for the ride.
He's worried the housing village will serve as a beacon for unwanted activity.
It will be a place that will draw lots of homeless, lots of drug users, which brings the people who sell the drugs, which brings the criminals who are attached to that.
We have to design the Montevilla Community Village to help respond to those concerns.
Dan Field is director of the Joint Office of Homeless Services. They started planning the village back in 2022. The county's Board of Commissioners delayed voting on it late last year because they wanted more community feedback. Since then, the Joint Office has been working with neighborhood and business leaders to create a good neighbor agreement. It's something Field says they take seriously with every housing village in the city.
And we're working every day to make sure those providers, the nonprofits that are serving those sites, that they're meeting their obligations and making sure that the agreement we have in place with them is honored every day.
Another step in addressing a homeless crisis that remains in full view.
Again, that was Catherine Cook reporting for us this afternoon. Another community meeting about this proposed homeless village is scheduled for Wednesday, April 3rd. That's 2 weeks from now. It'll be held at the same place as last night's meeting, the Montevilla United Methodist Church. In other local headlines this afternoon, police have arrested a carjacking and robbery suspect in Northeast Portland. Officers say the man robbed a convenience store on North Greeley Avenue late last night. He's accused of stealing a lot of items, but mainly cigarettes and ready-to-drink cocktails. Police say he took off from the store in a stolen SUV, wound up crashing into a curb, and then ran away. Police eventually tracked him down, and he now faces several charges. Police are also investigating a deadly two-car crash that killed a 4-year-old last night. This happened in North Portland, right around 9 o'clock. Near the intersection of North Fessenden and Mohawk. This is the St. John's neighborhood of North Portland. 2 adults and 2 other kids were also hurt and taken to the hospital, but all 4 are expected to survive. The drivers involved stayed at the scene. And a family of 6, including 2 children, is back home this afternoon after they were stuck for 24 hours in the Mount Hood wilderness. The family started a hike on Tuesday along the Salmon River Trail near Welch's, but after hiking about 8 miles and gaining about 3,500 feet in elevation, they got stuck in several feet of snow. They were able to call for help, but tough conditions kept rescuers from reaching them until early yesterday morning. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says nobody in the family was seriously hurt, but they were all wet, cold, and exhausted when they finally reached the Search and Rescue Command Center around 7:30 last night. All right, let's take a break from the headlines this afternoon to check in with that guy right there. Rodney Hill, what do you got?
Well, good afternoon to you. We have a nice quiet day underway. Coming up in my complete forecast, we'll talk more about this low and the cold front that will come in tomorrow, and that will ignite another round of heavier rain and maybe even some thunderstorms. But today, it's been just some light rain showers, and as expected, many of you haven't seen any rain. This is the current radar showing mostly a little bit of rain inland up in Tillamook and Clatsop counties, and also some light moisture up in the Cascades, but basically it's been dry in Portland, Vancouver, and Salem. This is the visible satellite picture, and you're looking for spots on the map that are dark, meaning no cloud cover, and we don't really have much of that. I thought we would open up some sun breaks by now, and with cloudiness now starting to advect inland ahead of that front tomorrow, we may not. Here's Cannon Beach Live, where they've had some light rain amounts at times, 53 degrees. There's a patch of blue down over the Dundee Hills. That's in Yamhill County, of course, Domain Serene Winery's camera, but that's as much blue as I've been able to find. Downtown Portland, overcast but pleasant at 57. I still think we have a chance to get up to 60 or maybe 62. I wouldn't put more than a wooden nickel on the sunbreak bet this afternoon. We'll talk more about the rain for tomorrow coming up.
All right, Rod, we'll see you here in just a few minutes. Right now, though, we want to talk about something coming up later tonight on KGW News. We're airing a sit-down interview with another one of the candidates running for Portland mayor. This time, it's Keith Wilson. Wilson is a longtime Portlander and a CEO of a local trucking business. He also founded Shelter Portland, a local nonprofit that helps homeless people. During his interview with KGW's Blair Best, Wilson talked about his plan to end unsheltered homelessness in the city altogether during his very first year in office.
On your campaign website, it says you plan to end homelessness in Portland within your first year as mayor.
Right.
How do you plan to do that?
So on January 1st, the first thing I do is I'm going to promote a public safety emergency. And in so doing, we're going to immediately begin marshaling all of the private-public partnerships, whether it's churches, and as mayor, I'll have access to hundreds of facilities, whether it's community centers, and we'll start bringing that group that I've developed of experts together. Within 30 days, we'll have a plan developed, and then we're going to start standing up nighttime walk-in emergency shelters.
You can watch that full interview between Blair Best and Keith Wilson tonight on The Story, starting at 6:30. And we'll have more interviews with other candidates in the race for mayor here in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, Portland City Council passed a proposal to create a new protest response team within the city's police bureau. Officers on this new team will have extra crowd control training and get paid 6% more on the days that they respond to a protest. The idea for this stems from the summer of 2020, when nightly protests in Portland often turned into riots and police response was in the spotlight, considered by some to be too much and by others as not enough. Some civil rights advocates spoke at yesterday's city council meeting saying they're skeptical about this new protest response team and they wanted commissioners to vote against the proposal.